Preimplantation genetic diagnosis is a procedure used prior to implantation that helps identify genetic defects within embryos, which helps prevent certain diseases and disorders from being passed on to a child. The steps of PGD are: a few cells are microsurgically removed from embryos that are only a few days developed. After this is done, the embryos are safely frozen. The DNA of the cells are evaluated to determine if the inheritance of a problematic gene is present in each embryo. Once the embryos are identified as free of genetic problems, they will be placed in the uterus, usually by in vitro fertilization, and wait for the implantation and positive pregnancy test. Additional embryos that are identified as free of any genetic problems are kept frozen for possible after use, while the embryos with problematic genes are destroyed. What are assisted reproductive technologies? Assisted reproductive technologies are treatments and procedures used to help couples have a baby. These couples are unable to have babies because of certain problems with fertilization. There are many risks and side effects that come along with certain treatments, so it's best to learn about them before continuing with the treatment plan. Most of these procedures include removing the eggs from a female, fertilizing the egg with sperm, and finally returning the embryo to the uterus of the mother or the surrogate. The success rate. Couples receive a 58% ongoing pregnancy rate past 12 weeks and a 54% delivery rate. Scientists are currently trying to find out how to make this treatment more successful and easy for couples. Physicians and scientists are now able to, for the first time ever, have the ability to examine far beyond the superficial appearance of an embryo. This helps to ensure the embryo is free from any harm. PGD is much more safer than going straight to IVF because this process makes sure that the embryo will be healthier. Who can benefit? Any couple at risk of passing on a genetic disease or condition can benefit from this procedure. Possible candidates include carriers of sex-linked genetic disorders, carriers of single-gene disorders, people with chromosomal disorders, women at the age of 35 or older, women that are experiencing recurrent pregnancy loss, and women with more than one failed fertility treatment. This has also been used for gender selection. However, discarding embryos based on only gender considerations is an ethical judgment. Benefits of PGD are: it can test for more than 100 different genetic conditions. The procedure is performed before IVF, so the couple can still decide if they still want to undergo the procedure. It enables couples to pursue biological children. It identifies abnormal embryos, preventing unhealthy embryos from being transferred into the uterus, and it reduces multiple pregnancy risks. Problems a couple might have. This process requires IVF, involves risk of multiple pregnancies, and increased risks of birth defects that aren't related to the genetic test. Tests could reveal that there are no normal embryos to transfer. Tests don't screen for all possible genetic diseases or disorders, so a healthy baby isn't guaranteed from a tested embryo. False negative results could mean an abnormal embryo is transferred into the uterus, resulting in a possible miscarriage, and healthy embryos are discarded. This limits the chances of a healthy pregnancy. Impact on society. This treatment has had a positive impact on society because this ensures the safety and well-being of the baby in pregnancy. Most people believe that this procedure is acceptable when it is done for the right reasons, such as preventing offspring from having serious genetic diseases. This treatment has also been a negative impact on society. It has been used for gender selection, which is a concern for many people because embryos are discarded based only on gender considerations. Many people believe that since life begins at conception, the destruction of an embryo is the destruction of a person. The major issue is whether it sufficiently benefits important human interests to meet the demands of special respect for embryos that supporters of PGD may require. There are fears that increasing the frequency of selecting a child's traits may move us toward a world in which children are valued more for their genotype than inherited characteristics. This will eventually usher a world of designer children in which genetic engineering of offspring becomes routine. Interesting facts. PGD can help produce the so-called designer baby. PGD can cost up to $12,000 to have done, including in vitro fertilization. This treatment can also be used to make a desired animal. This procedure is relatively new to the public and was tested on cows.